Good day, everyone. Welcome to Get Connected Virtual, our first virtual conference. We are doing a panel today. Our panel is on finding and supporting remote clients. So QuickBooks Online gives accounting professionals the opportunity to work remotely. And I know in today's unprecedented times, we are all finding that we have to work remotely a lot more than we used to. Quick introduction to our panel. First, I'm going to mention the CPD credits. So you will get CPD credits for this hour, for this panel, and that will arrive in email format to you afterward. Introducing everybody. Let's start with Marnie Stretch. Marnie's from St. Albert. She is the owner of Accounting Loft in St. Albert, Alberta. She's also a member of the Intuit Trainer Writer Network, and she's the vice chair of IPBC. A couple of cool things about Marnie. If anybody is looking to get married in Alberta, I think, just in Alberta, Marnie, she is an Alberta Marriage Commissioner now. If anybody needs some cheerleading done, Marnie used to be an Eskimos cheerleader in the early 80s. And she's produced a reality TV show for Slice called Fabulous Furballs about a pet grooming school. Very interesting. Next, we have Kristin Thompson. Kristin's a CPB who has been doing bookkeeping for over 20 years. Can you believe it? Her main industry is the automotive industry. That's where she spends a majority of her time. After moving from beautiful Vancouver Island to northern BC, she lives in Prince George currently. She has spent the last 7 years as a bookkeeping manager at DMC Chartered Professional Accountants. And they are the largest locally owned CPA firm in northern BC. Over the last 4 years, with a team of 7, they have taken the bookkeeping department and transitioned all of their clients to cloud-based solutions. And this is her very first panel for QBO.
Yes.
And Kristin, did you have something that you'd like to tell us that's super incredible or amazing about yourself?
Oh, wow. I think the only interesting thing or crazy about me would be I have as many animals as I do humans in my house.
So how many is that?
Well, there's 5.
All right. And we also have Helena Patience with Entreflow Consulting Group out of Vancouver. An interesting fact about Helena, she's the CEO. She has joined the circus twice. So yes. Who knew? That's interesting. You're also big on blockchain development, or you want to take some more blockchain development, is that correct?
Yeah, it's fascinating. So we work with a couple of blockchain clients. It's very cool technology.
Very cool. Yeah, I love blockchain and cryptocurrency as well. And Helena's, one of her heroes, is also one of my heroes, Elon Musk. Go SpaceX, go Tesla. So that's a little bit about them. My name is Jason Hasty. I'm the founder and CEO of Tenjago. We started about 4 or 5 years ago, and I'm a tech nerd. I started Tenjago when I realized that the tech side of things could catch up to the accounting side. So that's what we do. All right, so let's just jump right in. We are talking about finding and supporting remote clients today. And the first thing that I want to ask the panel is, how did you get started working with remote clients? What was kind of the initiating event? And how many clients, remote clients, do you work with or have you worked with? And how long have you been working with remote clients? So why don't we start with Marnie?
Hey, so thanks so much. Happy to be here. And I feel like we're getting some feedback. So maybe if we're not talking, we could mute ourselves. I feel like that might work. So hopefully everybody can find that mute button. It sounds like it's better now. Okay, so that might be a strategy. So I actually, I lived in California for quite a number of years. I'm a dual citizen. And when I moved back to Canada in 2006, I was actually working remotely with desktop clients at the time. Although QBO was much earlier in the States, we didn't have it in Canada. So I was using some technology way back then to work remotely. And then when QBO came out in the States, I was pretty early on board to that technology. What has it been now? 6, 7, maybe almost even 8 years. I don't even remember, but it's been quite a number of years. So, and I have clients in both Canada and the US. So that's kind of how I got into it. I dipped a toe in the water moving back here and really jumped into QBO. And I still use both platforms.
Cool. And Helena, what about yourself?
Right. So we started off as a consulting firm 8 years ago. And we've been remote since day one. I came on about 4 years ago to head up the finance and accounting side of our business. So we've been remote since the start. We had a couple of clients that we would go on site to work with, and they were our most challenging to work with. So that made it really easy for us to carry on focusing on the remote clients. We've had over the last 4 years, I don't know, hundreds of remote clients at any given time. We probably have around 50 or so. We do a lot of project work, so there's a lot of people that come, we do project work and then carry on. And that works really well too for us to be able to support people in different areas of the country or around the world.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. And Kristin, what about yourself?
Well, as being a CPA firm, all of our clients are basically remote, but remote also means to us actually remote communities. Dealing with Northern BC, we have lots of clients that are in the upper half of the province and not necessarily in Prince George. So remote locations is also something that we focus on in communities that don't have the services that they need for their businesses.
Right. And we ourselves with TenjaGo, we support clients across Canada and now in the US. So we have clients in San Diego, Hawaii, which I'm very excited to not be remote for. Hopefully we'll head down to Hawaii sometime, and across to Atlanta, different parts of the US. So for the four of us, we've been doing remote clients for a while, and it's been interesting just as of late, as more of the world jumps onto the virtual world, especially Zoom sessions, Microsoft Teams, things like that, how maybe we feel like the world is catching up a little bit to what we have been doing. So it does present a huge opportunity for any business now. And I think the acceptance has become a lot higher for Zoom sessions as well. Mm-hmm. Things like us even working in our homes with interesting backgrounds, having kids running on us as well. Very different times. Before, things like that used to be a little taboo or maybe not the best, but now it's kind of the way of life. So, definitely a good time to jump into working with remote clients.
Yes.
So next question, how have you sought out the remote clients? Have they generally come to you? And I know some of you have said where your remote clients are already, but really, what have been the things that you focused on in searching out remote clients or getting these remote clients? Helena, let's start with you.
Sure. There's this really great directory called Intuit Hire an Accountant that I've been getting a good stream of leads from for over 4 years now. So thank you, Intuit, for that. We do get some referrals from some of our existing clients, and then good old SEM, SEO to help us for less easily accessible companies.
And Marnie, what about yourself?
So exactly what Helena said, the Find an Accountant website has been really phenomenal. And also word of mouth for sure. But the one thing I think is important, is mindset. So I feel like once you set that intention that you want to start working remotely and that's kind of your business model, I think it's naturally easier to sort of shift into that. So I believe in kind of the mindset piece of that for sure as well.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. when we started Tenge Go, that was our biggest thing, is that we were going to be virtual because we were in the cloud. We didn't have to worry about on-site things or picking up data files, little USB sticks, things like that. And we did have a virtual kind of a remote mindset right from the start. So yeah, really good point, Marnie. I think that's
I think you just naturally start to attract those kinds of clients. Except if you have a one in Hawaii, then for sure you're like an on-site.
Yes, that requires at least quarterly on-site visits for sure. And Kristin, yourself?
Exactly the same. The Find an Accountant has been absolutely amazing. And not only that, doing more marketing for the certain demographics that you're looking for as well. With social media and the way that you can do your advertising, you can hone in on that demographic quite easily. And it kind of helps eliminate the ones that might not be the right fit for you.
Yeah, and you're all right. Like the Find an Accountant thing has been awesome for us too. It's really, I think, money that we spent on marketing dollars versus just being listed in the Find an Accountant. It's been pretty incredible. The people that have contacted us and the clients that have become our clients just through the Find an Accountant directory has been actually pretty amazing. I'm sure all of you would agree with that. As well.
It's a good job of marketing the QBO product, and having expertise in that field definitely drives it to the right people.
Yeah, agreed. So now, what would you say have been your top three, your best things in working with remote clients? You don't have to limit to top three, but really, what do you enjoy the most, or what have been your top things in working with remote clients?
Ours would be like limitless access to the client's records with the feeds with Receipt Bank, with the bank statements coming in, bill feeds coming in. We're no longer waiting for information from our clients. We can gain that access right away. That's been a huge one for us. Along with saving, without having to chase down records, you're saving the client time and money, as well as us, and able to gain more room for more clients within your capacity.
Yeah, that's so true. I think the online thing has been amazing. I am not the most organized person when it comes to the physical world, but I find in the electronic world with folders, even emails, I find, I'm very cognizant of how I put the subject line in if I need to search it later. And with remote clients, I think one of the things that they find the easiest is just having the login from anywhere 24/7. And I would say one of the things kind of that for us is that we can work from anywhere at any time as well. One of our head CPAs was in Dominican Republic, and she would log in for an hour a day. When I go to the Hawaii meetings, I definitely will be logging in from time to time. Marnie, what about yourself?
Yeah, you just basically said it. I can work where I want, when I want. That's for sure the biggest for me. And more often now, and this kind of speaks to the challenges, which we'll talk about later, but often the remote clients are coming to us more tech savvy, which is super helpful. Because if they can sign on to a Zoom meeting right away, and if they know how to upload documents right away, and it can really cut down that learning curve, it's a huge benefit. Because some people really do struggle with technology. So if you're trying to fit them into your remote world, it can sometimes take a lot longer than somebody who's, really understands that world of online. So
definitely. And I think, you said it perfectly. I had a Zoom conference session with, there were four of us on this morning. One was a lawyer who I thought, might not be the best with tech, but he hopped on the Zoom session, no problem. And, one of the other things that I find to the advantage is there's a lot less wasted time. You really kind of hop on those sessions. You maybe have a little bit of a catch up, but the commuting, all of that. In Calgary, we definitely feel that now that nobody's really working downtown, the commute times are cut. And I'm sure in places like Toronto, just being able to hop on immediately, that time savings and that efficiency can be huge.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And Kristin, any of your top things?
Oh, well, I had mentioned before the limited access of the client records, and saving the time and money, but also being able to provide those real-time reporting is huge.
Right. Yeah, as long as the cloud doesn't go down, as long as we have our internet connections. Have any of you had to upgrade any of your modems or your routers, things like that?
The only thing we've had to do is go unlimited data, because my son is home doing school, right? So the volume is increased. So I had my call to TELUS, and they gave me unlimited. So it's worth a call to your internet provider right now, for sure, to see what kind of deals you can get. Highly recommend a yearly call to customer retention.
Yeah, I hear you on that. We're with Shaw, and I call them at least twice a year for sure. We just got our internet fees dropped, and we got higher bandwidth as well. So we're at 600 megabits a second for less cost than we were previously. So yeah, good point, Marnie. All right. So then, what about challenges? What would be your top challenges in working with remote clients?
I can start
Nobody?
here. And I just wanted to add
Nobody has any challenges, right?
Yeah, no, I've got a challenge. I've got a couple of benefit too we didn't talk about, was just being able to work with people all over the world. Like it allows us to be able to access our target market a lot easier, because we're not confined to people that we can drive to in a day. So that's allowed us to really get super specific about the people we want to work with, and it doesn't really matter where they are. Now on to the challenges though. It is a little bit trickier sometimes to build trust and relationships with clients when you can't see them face to face. With your fast to trust clients, that's usually not much of a problem, but you're slower to trust people. I mean, we're in a trust industry, right? We're essentially asking people to give us every bit of information about them, their personal finances, their business finances, what have you. And so it can be a little bit challenging to build that relationship when you can't actually see them face to face. And although we've got the tools to get information, that makes it really easy on an ongoing basis, sometimes when we have to do that initial sloggy cleanup work where we need to get a big mass of paperwork that it might be easier for us to just scan rather than wait for them to scan, that can be a little bit of a pain. So we usually will just send a courier to go pick up a box and get it over to the office and scan it quickly, rather than waiting for them to do all that work. Once we get the systems in place, it's easy going forward, but that initial kickoff can be a little bit of a slog. And also I find too, sometimes there's sometimes a reduced sense of urgency with some clients too. So if we're not actually on site seeing them, then they won't necessarily get all their stuff together and prep for us arriving. So what we've kind of put in place to mitigate that is we have for our for new clients, while we're still in onboarding, we'll set up a weekly meeting, so that we've got line in the sand. You got to get your stuff to us by that next meeting, so that otherwise things can trail on a little bit longer if we're not there kind of nagging them on a regular basis. So having a good structure in place to keep the project going forward will help. Otherwise they can take forever, and then inevitably they're going to be upset at some point about how long it's taking, even if it's their fault.
Yeah, that's an excellent point. I'm an entrepreneur at heart, and I find that that is the one thing when you have a scheduled meeting in person, like you said, kind of there is something building the trust when you're person to person versus being virtual. And then also I find it much easier to put things off if you don't have a physical meeting. So interesting to hear how you've kind of looked at that and been able to get past that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a really good point, Helene. I think that it's really important to schedule those meetings because it can lead to some inconsistency on both parts, right? Both the client and myself for sure. So if you're not showing up every week and they've got that structure in place, I think that's really, really important. And I'll just add a couple things. I wrote to myself when we were kind of looking at some of the possible questions. They need to be good at keeping their paperwork organized. And I suppose really thinking about that, they don't actually need to be good. I wouldn't even know. But prior, like when we're going on site, sometimes we're the ones organizing the paperwork, right? So there's some degree of maybe coaching that needs to happen because it's very wide open and ambiguous if there's nobody there showing them, because even though it's scanned, it still needs to be maybe stored or organized in some way if they're not throwing it away. The other thing I would say is a challenge for me, and it continues to be the case, is poor tech skills and or equipment. So that is definitely a challenge.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
I know.
good point.
Yeah, we have some problems with clients, and as they are remote clients in remote communities, they also have remote access to internet as well. So there has been some initiatives to increase the internet speeds up in northern communities, which has definitely helped. We haven't had anybody yet say they can't do it, so that's a plus as well.
That's great. Yeah. So, Kristin, with a lot of those remote communities, do you not do as much video type conferencing then? Is it more just based on the applications?
Yeah, sometimes the video can be a little bit lagging, almost to the point where it's too frustrating to do it. So a lot of times we will use more of screen sharing. We use ConnectWise for screen sharing, and then we can do one-on-one training that way and over the phone.
Yeah, screen sharing is by far one of the best things about having internet access and remote working. I used to help the firm that I articled with. I helped one of the ladies often on her computer issues. And when I think it was MSN, when they released their messenger where you could do screen sharing, it was so helpful. Instead of saying, go up to the right corner, do you see that little plus sign? And she'd say, where? I don't see it. Just being able to take over the screen and do a screen share has opened up a lot. And we definitely make that part of our remote sessions with clients as well, especially the onboarding sessions. Any of you have any good, bad, interesting screen sharing experiences?
I have one.
Or tips?
Well, actually, it's not even a screen sharing. I spoke too quickly, but it is a better experience to coach somebody through screen sharing than it is. This is the bad part of it: is standing over their shoulder at an office, or you're sitting at their computer and they're looking over your shoulder. And I'm sure we all have these stories of going to workplaces that aren't our own. One time she had the monitors switched, right? So if you move the mouse to the right, it actually came around to the left monitor. Yep. And I, at the time, didn't know how to work that out. So it was so frustrating, or pets or animals or, food on the keyboard that you have to, so all of those things, for all of those reasons, coaching remotely is just such a better experience for everybody. So that's my 2 cents.
Yeah. So what cloud-based applications are you using with your remote clients? What are some of the ones that you use most commonly, or that you'd highly recommend as an application type?
Our three, obviously besides QBO, right off the bat are going to be Receipt Bank, T-Sheets, and Pluto.
Yeah, it's good to have all three bases covered.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll add I'll add a couple to those. We'll all say Zoom and QBO, of course, right? So the other couple would be Loom. So Loom is an app that you can use to create short videos, and I've been using those quite a bit to send quick answers to clients. It's so much faster than either trying to write it up or to book a session and then have a meeting that might lead to 1,000 other things. So especially right now when we're so busy, the Loom videos have been super helpful. And they have a good offer going on right now if anybody wants to check it out. I think it's maybe until the end of June. So, and then Smart Vault, which is what I use for file sharing as well. So
good.
Yeah, Loom is excellent.
Yeah, really excellent. I forgot to mention Rotessa too. We do use Rotessa for upfront payments. So
cool. Twyla from Helm introduced me to Loom, and wow, yeah, from an instruction point, it's great. You can do up a 30-second video, and for us, I mean, all of our US clients are branches of one company. And so we've been able to do Loom videos with them, just quick 30 seconds on, oh, here's QuickBooks projects. Here's how you manage that, or here's how you access that. So Loom is great. And it's good to hear there's a promotion on. I'm going to have to check that out.
And then I have a couple more to add too. So aside from, obviously using QuickBooks, we use an application called Fathom for our KPI and management reports. It is so easy to use and super beautiful. And so we use that with all of our clients. For forecasting, we use Giraffe and also like Helm. There's a couple of other cash flow forecasting tools out there that you use too, such as Cashflow Frog. So those are all great for us to be able to work collaboratively. So our idea with our forecasting is that we want to create something that our clients can easily go into and make changes, do some scenario planning or what have you, and not make an absolute mess of our work. And so if it is a little bit more complicated where we might need to use Excel, then we'll use Google Sheets instead so that we can work collaboratively, and same with Word documents as well. We use Google Word or Google Docs, so that we have a collaborative environment set up for work together. Internally, we use ClickUp. It's kind of like Asana on steroids. So if you like Asana, you'd probably like ClickUp as well. We use that internally for our project management for the team. I know there's lots of other tools out there that's been the best for us given the breadth of types of projects that we do. And then on top of Pluto and Rotessa, so we also with our clients will use Veeam or WayPay for payments, depending on the country they're sending it to and what's going on. There's a number of different factors to pick between those three. We use Pluto, WayPay, and Veeam at Entreflow, but those make things a lot easier for us to get paid quickly, but then also for us to be able to handle AP for our clients, because we don't write checks at Entreflow, so we need to have really good structures in place so that we've got good controls and people are getting paid quickly, and we've got approval processes and audit history in there, because it's obviously an area that we need to be very careful with in our industry.
Yeah, and the payment portal is actually, that we use both Veeam and Pluto with our clients. We had a client in Saskatoon, and they've got a branch in Regina. And what they used to do is they would print out the checks in Saskatoon. The bookkeeper would print out the checks in Saskatoon, send them to Regina to get signed. Then they'd get sent back up to Saskatoon, and then they'd get mailed out to the clients or to their vendors. So getting them set up on Veeam or Pluto, huge difference. Yeah. Does anybody use Practice Ignition? Yeah, Marnie, you're shaking your head.
Yep.
Yeah, we use Practice Ignition for digital agreements. So signing the agreements. We found that great. I just read something about Adobe looking to buy DocuSign or something like that. And I think, those digital type signatures or digital agreement platforms are becoming even more and more popular as well.
Jason,
sorry.
We use Proposify at Entreflow, but we're also looking to implement Go Proposal right now. It would just make it a lot easier for our sales team to get those proposals together a little bit faster. So those are two other to look at if you're on the market for a proposal app, agreement app.
Yeah, and I just also wanted to mention the ProAdvisor portal. There's discounts on DocuSign. So for those of you that haven't logged into your ProAdvisor portal in a while, there's lots of goodies in there. DocuSign discounts is one of them. So.
Oh, awesome! Thanks, Marnie. Look at you in the promotions. I love it.
You and I have talked about air miles before, Jason. So we're both on the same page when it comes to like collecting and saving and discounts. And
yeah.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. Just a small obsession, right?
Yeah.
I know I definitely have that small obsession with with collecting points and discounts and promotions.
Yep.
All right. Let's jump into some unforeseen or unexpected benefits when you started working with remote clients. Was there anything that you had, you knew you were going to do it remotely, get it set up? Is there anything that you hadn't thought of that really kind of came to light when you started working with remote clients? I know we've mentioned quite a few already. For ourselves, I think it was just I always say that my brain does not process time very well. And really, my brain does not process travel time. So I found that, I've been late a lot less for a lot less meetings, especially having the virtual meetings, and because you have to jump on a virtual meeting quickly. So not having that travel time was a real unforeseen benefit to working with remote clients, for sure, for us. Any others that you can think of?
That's a really good one, Jason, actually. That's a really good one, the travel, for sure. Although It's weird now that we're in a Zoom world, like there's an expectation that people will be on time for a Zoom meeting. So when somebody's not on time, it really speaks very loudly, doesn't it? I just thought about it.
So true.
We were kind of talking through that. Yeah. So if you're traveling, it's like 5-10 minutes late, no big deal. But if you're sitting here waiting to go, it is odd when somebody doesn't show up on time, and it does happen. So, but there's no excuses. Come on. Just kidding.
Yeah, well, it's kind of gone from the excuse of, I got caught in traffic to now, my internet connection wasn't working. Something was going, I had to reset my computer.
Yeah, it's interesting how that evolves, right? I would say one for me is that clients, a lot of them are more engaged with their books. They're more involved. They're more hands-on. Not always, because some of them don't ever take a look, but a lot of them do. A lot of them are in there more along with us, just because it's so easy.
Yeah. I would agree for sure. Getting the clients definitely are getting more involved with their bookkeeping and the decisions that are coming out of it. I think that instead of also having that accountability that they have to take that picture of that receipt, puts a little bit more back on them instead of just putting it in an envelope. So they know they have that one extra step that they need to do to get it to you. So it provides that little extra.
Yeah, exactly.
And
I think really kind of showing your clients, how easy it is to access their books really is something that we find is good to do during the onboarding session, but then to remind them as well, because you can always go into the audit log in QBO and see if a client has been in there. You were going to say something?
I always wonder if the clients know about the audit log. It's like we all know, right? But do they know? Do they go in there? Do they see? Anyway.
Exactly.
They will after
it's
they
always
do not right.
Yeah. Or it's the really finicky, very demanding ones that do, unfortunately. On our end, some unforeseen benefits. So I think we're more efficient because we're able to work when we want to. So there's, if you're going into their office and, at certain times, so maybe it's one day a week. Sometimes of the month you need to spend a little bit more time, and other times it's a little bit quieter, but it just feels a bit awkward to be leaving early to make up for the time that you're going to need later on. So I think just having the flexibility with time, we're able to be a bit more efficient and make sure that we're kind of focusing more on delivering value rather than putting their face in, and then the other thing is we're really able to force them into the technology that we need to use. So I can't work with desktop clients. I refuse to use hosting because it's too leggy and buggy, and we've had so much drama with it. So I just say, if you want to work with me, then you've got to get onto QuickBooks Online. So it kind of and you have to use, a receipt capture application and a payment application, because I'm not going to print checks for you. So it just forces a situation where we're only working with people that are going to use the technology that we want them to use.
Yeah, that's excellent. I think when I started Tend to Go, we were going to have clients mail in receipts to us, things like that. And it's amazing in just a few years how it's come to be so accepted to have things like Receipt Bank to do receipt capture and things like that. And definitely I think with so many people working from home nowadays, just having that productivity, like you talked about, I think that is, for me anyway, I think it's great to have that. Even my banker, so, our account manager at Royal Bank, strangely enough, it's almost like we can contact her at any time now because she's at home and she can just hop on her computer. Not that I encourage any of that, we try not to do that as well, but really just from a productivity standpoint, being able to get answers quicker can be beneficial as well, even though sometimes it can be tough to turn off the computer. I think we have to be aware of that balance, of course.
Yeah.
As well.
Jason, to that, there's also the extra added benefits that Intuit keeps adding to QBO, like the bank rules and the receipt capture and the bill capture, and all of these things are continuing to grow with the services that we are able to provide. Instead of the system staying stagnant, now it's introducing all these things that just help us increase our value to our clients.
There's
so true.
One that was just released. You can find it in QuickBooks Labs, but it's your cash flow dashboard widget. So if you haven't visited the labs, just an FYI for everybody, because that just came out in the last couple of weeks. So
yeah, it's a great visual. We just showed it to a client and they absolutely loved it. That's why I like going to the Get Connected or QuickBooks Connect, always seeing the new features that are going to be released. And I know this year they were talking about the cash flow. That was one of the big areas. So yeah, that constant improvement is definitely a big advantage and an unforeseen thing, I guess. You're not having to upgrade your desktop version. So getting to support, when you're supporting clients, do you have set times or set hours? This kind of leads into what we were talking about, being contactable at any point. Do you have set business hours that you like to keep as well with your clients?
So I can go first on this one. So we have kind of internal rules that we will respond to emails within 24 hours. We try to have the whole team working between 9 to 5 as much as possible. We have some team members that will work a bit later and start later and work earlier and finish earlier. The team generally try not to slack outside of business hours as much as possible. If something quick comes up, then they're more than welcome to send a message, but not expect other people to respond back. So we try to keep it nice for people so they're not stressing about responding to messages in the evenings or over the weekends. And then with our clients, again, if they send us a message, if someone is happy to send a quick message back, that's fine, but it's not expected. The expectation is that we're at least, we're getting back to them within 24 hours, or as soon as we can, send them a quick message saying, hey, I got your message. I'll get back to you as quickly as I can here. But then also, and we've seen this a little bit more over the quarantine times here, was that, with all the urgent things that were going on over the last little while, our team were putting their hand up and saying, oh, okay, well, I can just spend a couple of minutes and work on that on the weekend, which we don't expect them to do. But just because there was a lot of urgent things, they felt like they wanted to help out. And if our clients were messaging over the weekend, sometimes they would send a quick message back. but it's not expected. So, we have, rules with our clients. Hey, this is how fast we'll get back to you. But if it's urgent, if people are happy to jump in, then they can, but it's not expected.
What about cell phones? Do your clients have your cell phone numbers?
Yeah, we don't have an office number. We started off remote, so we just never got a landline. So they have my number, and with some clients, it's easier to text them, and it's easier, it's the easiest way to get a hold of them. So for some clients, we just text back and forth. That makes it a little bit easier. And again, our team knows, if a client texts you and you don't want to text back because it's, you're doing your personal lifetime, then that's okay. Just wait till it's work hours again to text back. So
that's interesting. My wife's company that she's a part of now, they're a startup, and they have, I think, over 200 employees now, not one landline. So it's very interesting how they function. They all have their cell phones. So it's kind of become, the texting, I think that's what we find with our clients too. Some of them are great. One of our bookkeepers said one time, she said, I finally figured out how to get a hold of Murray. It's texting him, because she would email, and now she just sends him one quick question on a text at a time. He gets back to her almost instantly.
Yeah, we find that the path of least resistance is to figure out the easiest way to communicate with each client, and make it as painless as possible for our team. But at the end of the day, if they're spending hours trying to chase someone down, that's more irritating for them than getting a couple text messages, or getting onto a company's Slack channel and messaging through Slack or whatever it is that they use. Will generally kind of lean on their best communication apps, because we know we're going to get what we want and what we need a little bit faster that way. It can be a little bit of an overload for new hires coming on in their onboarding, because they might have to learn a couple of different tools. But at the end of the day, what's going to be less of a pain for us in the nagging department?
Yeah.
I love that, department of nagging. That's like the business card.
Yeah.
Sorry, and I'll just jump in and say I'm not the hugest fan of text, so it's not my default. I prefer. We do use Slack. Like, I have a contractor that works with me, so my team uses Slack, which I really like. For those of you that don't know what Slack is, it's another app for communications. It's really good. It keeps things off email, so I really love it for my team. And then some of my more complex clients I use Slack with. Otherwise, it's basically email. And I will give a shout out to scheduled emails in Google. That is the best feature. So if I'm working on a Sunday night, which I was last night, and I'm typing up an email, I'll schedule it to go out Monday morning or whatever. So I think to some degree, we also have to kind of teach our clients how, show them. We have to show them how we want them to work with us, right? So I try not to reply on weekends for sure. Often I will at night, but weekends I do try to save for myself, even though I'm often working. Yeah.
Agreed. Yeah. The setting boundaries with clients is important too, right? And we use Slack and really, really like it. We were having too many, things go through email, or personal versus business messages going through texting. And that's where we found, when we moved to the Slack platform, because it's an app on your phone, it's an app on your laptop, you've got it on multiple sources. And so it makes it much easier to communicate. And I love having the keyboard when I'm at my computer to use Slack for as well.
Although we have had some fails with clients. So that's one of those tech pieces where sometimes they just can't get it, right? And so then it's back to email. And just like Helena says, you kind of have to respond to what works best with them. So we have tried it for a couple clients and it's failed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, good to know.
Yeah.
All right, so we're almost at 45 minutes. So let's just maybe talk very quickly about how your clients are benefiting. Any testimonials that you received, any feedback from your clients in what they've talked about with working remotely, and some of the things that they love the most, or what can really benefit them?
I think the real-time reporting has been the biggest feedback we've gotten. that people are able to make their business decisions when they are needing to make them, instead of having to wait that month for the quarter end and get the reporting and all that sort of stuff. So when they need those reports to make those decisions, they're available.
Right. Yeah, excellent. Having that reporting, that feedback loop to clients,
Yeah.
very important.
And I think that kind of goes along with that. We're more proactive. We're able to be more proactive. We want to be and have shifted to be more proactive, both because of the cloud environment and because of value pricing. Honestly, it just creates more proactivity. And I also think that we're more responsive, so we can quickly get to a task, whereas before that would have been difficult going on site, right? But sometimes if you've got a couple minutes, you can jump on it immediately. So those two things too, responsiveness and proactiveness.
Right.
What's top of mind for me right now? Oh,
go ahead.
Yeah, thanks. Sorry. What's top of mind for me right now, especially during the pandemic, is just we've been able to jump in and help out in crisis mode.
Right.
We've had clients who've had to fly home. They're in different countries. Their teams dispersed. Their teams maybe laid off. And so we've been able to just jump in and help them, probably during like the worst time in their business owning careers. Honestly, this last little while has been probably the hardest for most of them. And we've been able to jump on quick calls and talk through things with them, whatever hour, wherever they are in the world, what have you, and just be there in the middle of their crisis to help them navigate through that peacefully.
Right. Yeah, exactly. All right. So lastly, your top tip for those who are looking to work with remote clients, what would be one of your top things that you'd say to be prepared for, to look at?
I think with working with any client, making sure your expectations are known of them and of you, what they can expect from you and what you should be able to expect from them right off the bat, no matter if you're going to their location or if they're remote or in a remote community. All of these expectations need to be laid out.
Yeah, exactly.
That's so good. Yeah, that's really good, Kristin. A very good point. Mine's kind of on the tech side of things, but be ready from a tech point of view. So have a good camera, good headset, or whatever, a good setup, whatever you need. And then have your apps at the ready, a receipt app for sure. So apps.com will take you to a list of all the apps that work in the Intuit ecosystem. So there's a couple more.
With promotions.
Yes, that's right. Hopefully they give me more than a 14-day trial. I think that's too short. We need at least 30 days.
When does Marnie's promotions.com?
That's a good idea, Jason.
Yeah, Jason and Marnie's top promotions. We'll start it. That'll be our $1 million idea. Yeah. Awesome. Well, thanks so much, everyone.
Go sorry, ahead. Can I share my best advice? It's just client selection is so important. Client selection is so important. So now that you've got access to a larger pool of people, just be very careful about the people that you're bringing on, because you want to make sure that they're, serving you as much as you're serving them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Excellent. Yeah, definitely. The world is open to us, right? All right. Well, thanks, everyone. Now we're going to jump to the live part of the session where we're going to be taking questions.